Hey everybody, and welcome back to Tech Talk. Today we're going to be doing a review of the HP Elite X3. Before I reviewed this phone, I reviewed the Alcatel Idol 4S, and I kind of asked the question, is Windows Mobile dead? And in that, I didn't have a real definitive answer, and I still don't, obviously, today, because there are no official announcements from Microsoft regarding their mobile platform, at least on phones at this point. But there are a couple of statements that have been made, basically saying that they are dedicated to their mobile platform and they're not giving it up. And HP is also committing to updating this phone. So is Microsoft. They're saying that they will be continuing updates at least until 2019, and then things may change from there. So my opinion is, if Windows Mobile was really dead, we would not have Windows 10S, because there would be no need for such a thing. They would simply get rid of it. You just have regular Windows and we're done, since the mobile platform is dead. But that's not what's happening. In fact, Windows 10S is being used more than it has been ever before, and the popularity of it is actually doing fairly good. I think they have about a 60 to 70% rate of people not upgrading to Windows 10 Pro and keeping the Windows 10S, which is a pretty significant rate. And what is the purpose of doing that? What is Windows 10S? Well, it's a scaled back version of Windows 10 that only runs the Metro apps, or their store apps, and Edge. So it's basically the same thing as the phone. The only difference is that they're marketing it towards like Chromebook type interfaces and tablets, low powered laptops and tablets. But what is that going to do? That's going to increase the adoption rate of Windows apps. It's going to make more people start using them, and it's going to force more developers to start doing more apps, which is the biggest problem that Windows Phone has. I think Microsoft should spend the money to just make some of their own apps for some of the gaps that we have. Maybe something that would just a music app that works with Google's music app and Amazon. Since Amazon and Google won't write one, Windows could do something that is interoperable and will pull those subscriptions and download your music. It's definitely something they could do if they invested. And I think they need to do that with certain applications, like Facebook, whatever the main apps that people use. Just pay for it, get it done. And then there's nobody going to be saying, oh, there aren't these key apps anymore. So they need to really focus on the availability, the amount, and the quality of the applications in the Windows store. That being said, my opinion is Windows Phone isn't dead just because of that. But I could be crazy. So let's get into the review of the HP. Now, the Alcatel Idol is kind of aimed at consumers, and this phone was more aimed at business users. And I can understand maybe why, but personally I feel that this phone is fine as a consumer device. There's nothing that makes it just all business. Now, when you look at the prices for these units, you're going to see pretty high prices across the board, except for Amazon. There's one seller that's selling these for about $319, just about 50% off. The one catch to it is they do not come with the premium earbuds. So if that matters to you, spend the $600 for a new one from HP or their outlet store. I believe it's $669 at their outlet store and $699 at their retail online store. So to me, for the specs on the phone, just to have a Windows phone, I'm not going to spend that much money. It's not a need for me in any sense of the word. But I'm a nerd. I like to test these things out. I like to try them, and I like to report on them. And honestly, I really do like the Windows mobile interface. I think it's one of the cleanest, slickest designs I've ever seen. And, you know, I have not always been a fan of Microsoft. So, you know, it's not something, I'm not a fanboy by any means. I judge things based on how I think they work. So, Windows Mobile for me works pretty darn good. Now, there are some problems, but you know, that's with anything. So I'm turning this on from cold start to let you guys see how long it boots up, how long it takes to boot up. But honestly, so the features of the phone, we'll get into that. It has a 6-inch, 5.96-inch AMOLED display. I don't know the exact numbers on the resolution, but it's pretty high. It's higher than 1080p. 4 gigabytes of dual channel RAM, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and 60 megapixel camera on the back. I believe an 8 megapixel on the front with an IR camera as well. Stereo speakers, the Snapdragon 820 processor, which is a quad core. It is a premium processor, but it is old, and it is a quad core, not an octa core. So it's decent, but it could be better. The 835 would have been a much better choice. Of course, I don't think that was maybe out when this was built, but I'm not sure. So you got your two volume buttons, those black buttons on the bottom, and then the button on the top there, speaker grill on the bottom, and then the earpiece on the top. On the other side, you have your SIM ejector, and it's just use your fingernail to open that up. So you don't need a tool, which is kind of a nice feature. So the fingerprint reader is pretty accurate. It's about 3-second delay, so it's a little slow, but it works. If you are multitasking with your Windows phone and you think, hey, it's getting hot, it's getting slow, what's going on? You can hold that button and then you can see all of your apps that are going and X them out. So that's a nice feature. On your notifications, they work really well, just like Android for the most part. And the only thing is, this has a light, notification light or charging light, but it doesn't do anything when the phone is off. So if it's just sitting here, I don't get any notifications when new emails come in, which is rather annoying. It doesn't do anything. It just sits there like this. If I get a text message, I'll get a little bling, and I know that a text comes in. So that's really important. But emails, sometimes I've heard the chirp and sometimes I haven't, so it's just kind of a weird thing. The face reader does work. You have to get the phone pretty close to your face, but it works pretty well. The screen is fantastic on this phone. I love the AMOLED screen. I wish there were more options in Windows Mobile to adjust the display settings, but it's a very good screen. So the speakers get rather loud. They're not as loud as the Alcatel Idol 4S, but they do get pretty loud. And they are stereo, and you can hear that stereo separation, which is nice. And then the screen is great. Playing games on this works well. I've played Asphalt 8. A little bit of stutter here and there, just odd places, but for the most part, it works really well. The battery life on this is good. It's not great because the 820 is kind of a battery gobbler. You know, it just kind of gets hot and it chews up the battery. So you're not going to get like 4-day battery life out of the large battery capacity with this. If you had maybe a 625 in here, a 630, a Snapdragon 630, then you'd probably get multiple days of use out of this. But me, being a heavy user, I get it down to about 25% on a heavy day. Your mileage may vary, but certain tasks will run the battery down pretty quick. Camera, video, gaming, and the navigation apps all drain the battery pretty bad. So, but because it does have pretty big capacity, it'll still get you through the day with no problems. So, I've got Kindle on here, I've got Word. I love all of the Microsoft programs that are, included out of the box. The weight of the phone is nice, despite the polycarbonate build, which makes it feel rather cheap to me. I don't understand why they would use polycarbonate and chrome-plated plastic, but especially on a device that's supposed to be mil-spec, or at least just put some kind of texture or pattern to make it look a little more tough. I don't know. That to me was the appearance of the phone. I almost returned it just because of the way it looked. I just thought it was so boring and plain. But since I got the better price, even though I had that idle for $110, and honestly, if you got that phone for $110, I mean, you're just not going to do any better. But if I had a choice between the idle for $110 and this for $319, I do think this phone is worth the extra money. Because for me, in my older eyes, if you're a young kid, probably doesn't matter to you, but when you're in your 40s, the bigger screen really makes a nice difference. And the AMOLED screen, with the clarity that it has, also makes a pretty good difference for me in daily use. I just find it really nice to use. I really like the speaker setup. I like browsing. This is almost a tablet for me. It almost replaces a tablet because of the screen size and the really good resolution. So overall, I do recommend this phone for tech-savvy users that understand what they're getting into. If you're just a regular person looking to buy a phone, why would you even think about getting a Windows phone? Because honestly, there's just no selection, and it's just not that's not a viable option for most average consumers. However, if you've been using Windows Phone and you want to upgrade, now would probably be a really good time. If you can find this device for the price that I got or less, and you have a Lumia, any generation of Lumia, this thing is going to fly compared to what you're used to. I mean, it is a lot faster. I had a 640 XL, I believe, and I loved that phone. It was great. But the 1 gigabyte of RAM and the slow processor definitely, you would have sometimes where it just was unresponsive. And that happens because we're dealing with Windows, but it doesn't happen too often with this phone. And for the most part, most of the things work pretty snappy. I don't have any problem. And then if there are issues, I can just, exit out of them. So for the tech-savvy consumer that likes Windows and maybe has a couple phones, goes back and forth, this is an awesome device. I really like it. Just know that there might be a Windows 10s phone coming out probably in 2019. So if you're wanting to keep this for a long, long time, I don't know what the support's going to be. But my gut feeling is you're not going to have a problem. My gut feeling is you're going to be taken care of probably for longer than you even expect. Because that just seems to be the nature of the Windows mobile devices. And also, people have been talking about updates. Windows is dead. I got a January update on this phone. So I got an update to the latest security patch. As far as feature upgrades, I mean, it's more important for the stability of the OS and for the core features to work really well, and I think that's what they're concentrating on, than to add a bunch of flashy gimmicks that don't really serve any purpose. And since there's no bloatware with this, you're not getting all that cruddy stuff that you get with some devices where you have 15 apps to do one thing. And all of the HP apps you can actually uninstall if you want to. It has a few here: HP Device Hub, Tools, Hardware Diagnostics, and the Calculator. I left those on, but there were more, and I can uninstall any of these if I wanted to, which I think is pretty nice. Oh, and the last thing that I forgot to mention is Continuum. So Continuum, if you buy the expensive model, it has a dock, costs an extra $100, but I found that I can connect this wirelessly or with a cable and use the Continuum just the same. Now, if you're somebody that's, going around a lot of different places, maybe even different offices, and needs to load up a Word document or something like that, this thing's really pretty cool because basically it flashes everything that's on the phone on the computer. And you know what? Instead of just talking about it, why don't I just show you guys? It isn't the fastest when I do it wirelessly for obvious reasons. But it does work. And if you wanted the faster speed, of course, you could do something to do that. Okay, so here we go. We're going to connect. It's going to search in a second here. You do have to get a Connect app for your laptop if you wanted to do that on a laptop. Okay, so now you can see it is connecting to my desktop. It says follow any instructions on your device. Basically, my phone is going to become a touchpad. And you'll see, there it is. And there is my phone on the screen. So I am no longer on my computer. This is actually my phone. So we can go into Edge here. So now we're browsing on my phone. So it's a little slow. Sorry, I want to show people there. So it's a little slow, but it works. And like I said, if you had a wired connection, it would be faster. But let's just say, okay, I want to open up Word here. So, okay, I got a Word document. I'm in my office here, or some new office. Okay, close that. See, this is basically Word on my phone, which I think is, pretty amazing that I can do this. So I just wanted to show you guys that's Continuum. It's not the best thing in the world if you don't need it, but when you do, it can be, I would say, a lifesaver. So you need to print a document, you only got your phone. Maybe you're doing real estate and you need a title document or something. You got full Word on here. Well, at least Word that you can print and do all those, edit and do things like that. So it's pretty impressive. The Continuum works. You don't need the dock for it. So for $319, you get a phone that can do a lot and is very secure at the same time. So that's my review. Yeah, it's a great phone. It really is. It's really underrated and underappreciated, I believe. Now, the caveat is the Windows apps, they're gonna be a problem. And Maps maybe doesn't work as great as Google Maps, but it's not a problem. It's just a different interface, a different device. So a different way of doing things. And I really do like the way Microsoft has designed their software. So if you like this review, if you want to see more reviews of mobile devices like the HP Elite X3, please give a thumbs up and subscribe. The next review will be the Xiaomi Mi A1, which is Xiaomi's first Android One device. And it's actually what I'm recording this video on now. And I really do, as far as Android devices, it's one of my favorite Android devices of a long time due to its affordability and great functionality. So we'll get into those features next time. And thank you so much for watching Tech Talk.